Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lessons for Life. Welcome to the Thursday night phone-in. And it's good news. Good news for fans of Boris Johnson and people that have put politics to one side for once, because Boris Johnson is out of intensive care. He is still in hospital, but he is out of intensive care. So hopefully he's out of the woods and is making a recovery, as will most people, God willing, from the coronavirus on another day when the death toll has been in the hundreds. But we have to look at the positives that we can take from this. And if you want to get involved in the chat, the number is up there, and it is the usual number, 07491 751 203. Don't forget to put +44 if you're calling from outside the UK. We'll have to get calls from other countries. And Rizwan Qureshi is saying, brilliant show, bro. You're very kind, Rizwan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Rizwan is somebody who used to tune into my old shows back in the day when I used to do this on local radio, and he's still here. That's called loyalty. So Boris Johnson is on the mend. He's kicked the coronavirus, hopefully. And I want you to tell me, what have you recovered from? And it doesn't necessarily have to be an illness. What have you conquered in your life? When did you have a dark time and you came out the other side of it? I was watching Question Time this evening, and of course there was no audience and people were Skyping in. They had Ruby Wax as one expert, and there was another Scottish chap by the name of McGarvey. His first name escapes me, but he was quite obviously an expert on mental health and addiction, and he was talking about some of the issues that children may have if they're trapped in a household on lockdown, when they're in an environment where there is addiction going on. So he used the term active addiction, which I thought was quite interesting, because it illustrates the fact that he's aware that addiction is forever, and you can be a recovering addict, and addicts will use this term, recovering alcoholic, recovering drug addict, or whatever it is, because they are aware that until the day they die they will remain an addict. So if you are someone who has recovered from an addiction, I'd be very interested to hear from you if you want to share your story. Someone did just try and call us. If you call again, sorry we missed the call, please call again if you are trying to. The number once again, 07491 751 203. And I'd love to hear a victory story, a recovery story like that, if you're happy to share, and if if you want to be anonymous, we will understand. But yes, hopefully Boris Johnson is in recovery. And I'm trying to think of things that I've recovered from. I've had many ups and downs, low points in my life, things that I came out the other side of. The one that springs to mind at the moment is when I broke my arm 3 years ago, and it took 8 weeks for the fracture to heal, but I think psychologically it took a lot longer for me to actually recover from that incident and the trauma. And sometimes you walk around feeling like you're invincible and no one can hurt you, and then you wind up in hospital, and it's a very humbling experience. So maybe if you've recovered from something like that, You can give us a call in the chat. Triple T is saying, I'm having a dark time tonight. Triple T, pick up the phone. Maybe we can shed some light on your dark night. And I think if you are in a tough period of time, which we all are at the moment, and we can't see the end in sight yet. We've just had the 3-week review of the lockdown, and it's not been lifted. It's in place for the time being. We're living in very uncertain times, and that can be very unnerving to not know when the end is in sight. It's always much easier to manage a problem if you know how long you're going to be in that situation for. And I think a philosophy that I strongly believe in is just take it one day at a time. One day at a time, one night at a time, Triple T. And sometimes it might have to be 1 hour at a time. 1 minute at a time. And during a very dark period of my life, a close friend of mine said to me, and not I say close friend because he's a good friend, but he's not a friend that I see often. We're not always in the same circle. And when I told him what I was going through, he just said, call me anytime, or better still, come and see me. Even if you just want to sit in silence, I'm going to be there for you. And that really stuck with me. I don't know if he's aware of it, but I must remember to thank him. The power of having someone there for you who's just willing to sit with you, even if you just want to sit in silence. It stuck with me for a very long time. And maybe that's what we need at this time. We need that person who is... A lot of people say, oh, you need someone with good listening skills who can listen to you, listen to your problems. What about just sitting in silence? The power of silence. Triple T is saying, I'm going to be there for you. Thank you, Triple T. Yeah, we're all going to be there for each other. But how powerful is silence? I hope we're not hearing any background noise today. No static. Apparently in films, and our friend Tarek will be able to back me up on this, when they want to have a period of silence, they actually have a sound effect for silence that they play during the film. Otherwise it would sound strange if the whole cinema suddenly just went actually completely silent. Because very rarely do we actually experience silence. And some of you may have watched the meditation guided lesson that I put on this channel about a week ago. It was tongue-in-cheek, kind of a joke, but how important is it to be able to sit in silence and realise there's never actually silence. You're always hearing something. And we're noticing the difference now. Although if you live near enough to a motorway, you may still hear the hiss of vehicles in the distance, but it will be quieter than usual. And the bird song is louder than usual. Our whole environment is shifting. It's like someone has adjusted the levels. When you edit videos and you go through and you bring the sound up of one thing and bring the other sound, the background noise down, and you get the balance just right, and you play with the treble and the bass. It's like our whole environment has just been tweaked. And of course the people that like to wear a level of aluminium foil around their head think that they're tweaking with not just what we hear and what we see, but what we can't see. The unseen. The unseen is a popular topic within religions, and people often go down this road of it being jinn or ghosts or demons or whatever those words mean to them. But what if the unseen referred to unseen light, ultraviolet light, infrared light, all these waves, all this activity that is going on around us that we can't see? And some of the Tinfoil Hat Brigade are worried that they are playing around with that. I'm not going to go into 5G tonight because it's not something we are interested in at the moment. Dardasha in the chat is saying, sorry to hear that, lesson for life. I'm recovering from a car accident. Yeah, and what a daunting time it would be to have such an accident now. I mean, Dardasha, I wish you a swift recovery, as you know, and recovery takes a long time. And with an injury like that, I think it would be very difficult because there's no clear end in sight. When will I be better? When you start to feel better gradually, you don't notice the finish line. At least when I had a broken arm, the doctors told me, you're going to wear this cast for 8 weeks. So I had a mental note of how long I've got. 7 weeks to go, 6 weeks, 5 weeks. This is feeling like forever. But when you can see that finish line, it's much easier than an indefinite. Well, you'll get better eventually. And I don't know what stage Boris Johnson's at, but he is on the mend. In the other room, the other chat room, Tom Rowland is watching and saying, "Hey, bro." Hey, Tom Rowland. That's someone who was mentioned in a video the other night. After the exams, Tom. What are we going to do after the exams? And what are we going to do after the COVID-19 pandemic? And Tom Rowland is asking me, how did I break my arm? A friend kicked me in the arm. I was training for some organised violence. Triple T is saying, I'm recovering from a hit and run. I was the driver. That's not a very kind joke, Triple T. Noor Jama is saying, guys, any good news coming soon? May Allah give us all and spread love and peace after this tragedy. Yeah, I mean, Noor Jama, what God has in store for us, little do we know. But we can only regard it as a test and not a punishment from God. It's how we interpret it. And Tom Rowland is advising me to train in the park, set off some fireworks, and then just go off somewhere. Yeah, I heard people setting off fireworks today during the clap for the NHS, which we must continue, but it would be even better if we did the NHS properly. Triple T is attempting to call me on the wrong number. Triple T, you need to phone the number on the screen. It's 07491 751 203 if you are trying to get through, as people are. The number to call, I'll say it again, 07491 751 203. Do not try me on any other numbers, as it will have devastating consequences on the on what we're trying to achieve here. So I was contacted recently. Well, I received a message from China. So this is hot off the press. China is in the process of recovery, and we have got someone from China who's going to give us an update on that. Before we go to that, Tom Rowland is asking, I wonder if Boris Johnson will think differently about the NHS now that it saved his life. Yeah, absolutely. I wonder, will he think differently now that it has literally saved his life? Will he think differently? Will he act differently? Well, we've got a call. Is that, who's there? Hello?
Hi, mate. It's Triple T.
Hello, Triple T. This is the number to call and not any other number. Thank you for getting through.
Thank you. Thank you. There's some geezer in the chat. I've tried to register my name, Triple T, but I don't know what the heck, how he managed to get my name on. That's not me, just in case if anyone's wondering. That's not me on
Copyright
the,
theft.
chat.
Well, what you got for us, Triple T? What have you recovered from?
Well, I've recovered from a broken heart.
Okay. Is it fully recovered, or are there still a few little cracks in there?
I'm not sure. I think the the craps will seep out throughout my life sometime. But unfortunately, I had a huge breakup, and I'm thankful that I re-met someone and I was able to recover from that. But all this corona business, I know you don't want to talk about it, but it has got me back to thinking like, what the heck are we here for, and what the heck is going to happen? I want to say one thing unrelated to corona though.
Yeah.
But I want to say, yesterday you said that you were mentioning vehemently and fervently that the 5G is not a probable cause. I want to ask you a question. If 5G is not causing all this, then how the heck do you explain the dead birds on the damn street?
The dead birds, are they dying from coronavirus or bird flu?
Exactly.
Look, I don't know about any dead birds, Triple T. I don't know how many dead birds there were in Iran, but there were a hell of a lot of dead people from coronavirus, and Iran has zero 5G. So if
Exactly.
5G is killing the birds, maybe it's only dangerous to birds.
Yeah, but here in England, because we've got corona and we've got the 5G towers, it's killing not only the birds, it's killing the people too. In Iran, they don't have 5G. They only lose people. We're losing. I'm an animal lover, and we're losing animals of all sorts.
Well, birds
here,
aren't animals,
and we're
are they?
losing.
But okay, you're an ornithologist.
They're not animals, but aren't we all animals? Aren't humans also animals in a sense? Are we not mammals overall?
Well, we're a great ape, but we can debate that another time. In the chat, someone is advising, Omar, behave yourself and please try some good news. What is it with these dead birds? Where have you seen these dead birds? On a video that someone's forwarded to you, and you've got no idea of the veracity of it, but you've hit share because that's the era we live in. Fake news spreads quicker than any news. Like wildfire, like the wildfires in Australia that they said were due to arson, but Mr. Wenger was nowhere to be seen at the time. That was fake news also, and that's a joke.
I think,
but yeah, fake news spreads very quickly. I'm guilty of it myself. I've shared stories that have turned out to be fake. Someone sent me a text the other night saying, "Don't go out at 9 p.m. There's a helicopter spraying chemicals to get rid of the coronavirus." And then thankfully 10 minutes later the lady sent me an apology and said, "Oh, sorry, it's not true." Well,
no, with that the thing is, if there is someone that's gonna spray from the helicopter, they'll just inform us. The government will just text us, or they'll just tell us on the news that we're gonna
they'll send a letter.
Yeah, they'll do something at the very least. They'll send a letter and it'll be on the news and it'll be a big story. But with these birds that I've seen,
Boris Johnson will lick the envelope like the letter he sent us recently. Don't worry, I'm still shaking people's hands.
Yeah, and what a costly mistake
what
that was.
Yeah, what a blunder. What a blunder.
But even more so, look at Trump. Look at Trump. He's not even like, he was standing around people and he was shaking hands probably 2 weeks after Boris Johnson said he stopped shaking hands.
Yeah, Trump is something else. And if it wasn't so tragic, it would be funny, his response to hearing that Boris Johnson was in intensive care, and Trump is so insensitive. He was saying, "Well, you know, it's intensive care. We know what that means. We know what that can mean." He was basically saying, "Well, you know, he might die," and he might have. I know Tom Rowland, who's watching, would probably say it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, but as he says, maybe he'll think differently about the National Health Service after this.
Well, it took, and also maybe we should think differently. Also, for Jeremy Corbyn said for 2 years this guy was planning to sell the NHS. He was in meetings for over 2 years, seated, wondering how much the money is going to come in, wondering how much we can sell this for. And still, the idiotic people that we are in this goddamn country, we still voted for Boris because we just hate the Polish so much. We want, let me rephrase that. We probably have some issue with Polish. That's why we're so focused on Brexit. We didn't care if we sells the NHS off or not. We just didn't want any more Europeans or any more foreigners in this country, it seemed.
Well, in the chat, Noor is saying Triple T was the reason I couldn't sleep all night because he is a believer of fake news. Oh, what a sad way to end that sentence. Look, Triple T, I've got the message from China. Do you want to listen to it with me? I know you've heard it.
Let me come back with let me come back in response with the fake news.
All right,
story.
defend yourself.
Do you see very quickly what is fake news? I'm sitting here wearing a black hat. That I'm seated here. Yesterday I saw someone walking down the street. He fell. He broke his leg. Is that fake news? Am I faking news? Is this a news story that's fake? It may be fake. Every story should have a motive. The guy who saw the birds that were dead and the ducks that were dead and all the other animals, creatures that were dead, or insects, or everything that was dead.
Dead duck.
Somebody needs to explain. Yeah, many dead ducks on the road. Someone needs to explain how these ducks die. How did those animals die? How did the birds just drop dead? Someone needs to say, okay, this is what happened. No one should say, oh, that's fake news and that's the end of it, because that's just not right.
And
that's your laziness.
You think it's
fine,
5G? Okay. Even if it is 5G, killing birds, which it isn't, France didn't have any 5G. It hasn't been rolled out until very recently, this month, I believe, April. Great Britain had it the year previously. The levels of COVID-19 cases and mortality rate are the same. So it's not having an effect. Having 5G doesn't make a difference. And places like Iran without 5G have had it the worst. So this whole 5G thing is a red herring. And I think we need to put it to bed because people may be censored that are telling other truths. David Icke tells a lot of things that are true. And for this one mistake, I think he's made, unless he's controlled opposition, I hope not, he's ended up being silent. So the other 9 true things he's saying are also being silenced because he's banging on about the dead duck, metaphorically and literally, because of the 5G.
Well, explain this to me. Can they have a 5G that's strong enough that we are stupid enough to have it in this country, those stupid towers that have gone up? We haven't seen them in France. We haven't seen them in Iran.
No, 5G has nothing to do with it. And
maybe it's 4G.
If you look at the electromagnetic spectrum and you see the dangerous end where you've got infrared and X-rays, they can be dangerous radiation. At the safe end is Wi-Fi and 5th generation internet connection that we're talking about. But look, I want to hear this message from China and move it back towards what people have recovered from, because we had a positive show last night. I'm trying to have a positive slant on these things. Let's hear about how China are recovering, or if they're not, and then you can come back in. All right?
Sure.
Here comes a message from China.
This is Jing Jie. I'm from China, and it's the first great show. And then, in terms of my experience with this virus, so I was studying in Morocco, and I came back to China for Chinese New Year on January the 13th. And originally, I planned to go back to Morocco after a month, but then with what's happening around the world, I'm still in China. So what happened here is that the government was trying to hide information concerning this virus, at least at the beginning, at the local level. And then the central government sent a group of scientists and officials to the city of Wuhan. And several days afterward, the authority confirmed the possibility of human-to-human transmission for this virus, and Wuhan was locked down, starting from the 19th, I think, and then my province also started to implement similar measures, and my city Wenzhou was locked down at the beginning of February, I think. But then eventually the situation in my city was not as bad as in Wuhan or as in many other cities, also in many other countries. I think in total we had 500 or 600 cases of confirmed cases of infection. And so the lockdown lasted for like 1 month, actually less than a month. And now and now the life has been going back to normal, little by little. People are going to work, eating out, hanging out with friends, and students are gonna go back to school soon.
Okay, we'll pause it there. It's sounding positive. It's sounding like China is coming out the other side of this, and that's a friend who's in Wuhan. Is that correct?
That is correct, but before your viewers think, hey, everything's great there and everything's going to be great here, those Chinese people were on some serious, not just a lockdown, but curfew business. They were only allowed out the house, I think, once in 10 days to go directly to the shops for their shopping and return. And unfortunately, we haven't done that here. And I've been saying this from day one, that's what we really need. We need to focus on a kind of more lockdown more than, well, it's not even a lockdown because we can still go out during the day for 1 hour exercise. I know you're adamant that should always be available to us, and I'm disagreeing. I think at what cost? And I think we all stayed in for straight 3 or 4 weeks perhaps, and maybe on the 10th day go and get our shopping, everything would be fine, and that we wouldn't have to worry about this corona business anymore.
Okay, well, in the chat, Hassan Radwan is saying there's an excellent 5-part podcast that I highly recommend called The Expert's Guide to Conspiracy Theories that analyses why and how conspiracy theories arise. Check that out. It's probably must have been published by the Rothschilds, maybe, Hassan. I don't know. And Adam London is saying, don't believe anything China says. So our friend from China there was kind of criticising the government. Look, we live in very black and white times, and people just want to diss China and say they lied, they covered it up, they lied about what was going on, as if our government didn't lie also. The truth will be somewhere in the middle. There will be good things about how China dealt with it, and there will be bad things about it. I think China is a very authoritarian country. Maybe that works in a monolithic country, although China's not actually it's not as multicultural as other places, but they have many different religions. For example, the Uyghurs, who we are told were rounded up and put into concentration camps. If someone from the Chinese government wants to give me the other side of the story, I don't know. Maybe that's a conspiracy theory. But yes, China is a very authoritarian regime. And as much as I'm a man of the left, I don't want to go down the road of an authoritarian left-wing economy or dictatorship, because we know that at the extreme ends these things wind up around the back, and they meet each other anyway. But give me a call if you've got something else, something different to say, if you disagree, or put it in the comments. And really, I just want to hear what people have recovered from. What else have you recovered from? Triple T, have we still got you?
You have.
Sorry, but
That
I thought
was
we
a
lost
very
you.
strange thing on the phone there. I've never heard that noise on the phone. I think you said China too many times, and maybe that was some sort of warning. I'm not sure.
No, you need to read Hassan Radwan's excellent 5-part podcast that he recommends, the expert guide to conspiracy theories.
Well,
but
if I
maybe
was the government,
go on.
if I was in charge of the government of China, and I would want to know, and if I was that type of dictator, I would want to know, I would have people in England who are seated here and who would be on different chats all around the country. I would want to know what people would think about me. So how is it impossible? It's fine. It might be improbable in this case, but it's not impossible. So all the conspiracy theories that people think are untrue, for example, the Diana's death, for example, 9/11, I say, instead of, fine, you call us people who follow fake news, I call you people who follow lazy news. There is no news. You don't bother researching anything. You just want to label us fake newsers and flat earthers, when really you're too lazy to do any type of research.
There are conspiracy theories. There are conspiracies, and some of them we know about, and the truth came out. But the danger is some people that believe in conspiracy theories just believe all of them, without exception. And I can understand why, because we've been lied to so many times. But you have to judge every case on its merits. You've mentioned a few famous ones there. The truth will be, as I often say, somewhere in the middle.
Well, it will be. Hello.
Yes, Triple T, go ahead. You're live.
It will. Thank you. It will be somewhere in the middle, and as Jesus Christ Himself said, the truth shall indeed one day set you free, and perhaps it'll even set your fee.
Absolutely. Triple T, thank you very much for getting in touch and for bringing us voice notes from across the world.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you and good night. There goes Triple T there. Yeah, he's right. The truth, funny enough, and the truth will set you free, is the name of one of David Icke's books, The Man of the Moment, the guy who, by being banned, has actually received even more exposure than he might have. If you saw the London Real live stream go out live, it was food for thought. Anyway, in the chat, anyone can tell me what they've recovered from. I wanted to put a positive spin on it again. And Dardasha said, we recovered from stress and running around everywhere. We are breathing, thinking, reflecting. Yeah. And I did say we need some silence. We need more meditation. We need to breathe. The truth will come out one day. Yeah. And Hassan Radwan is saying, I'm all for skepticism, but skepticism should be applied consistently. Yeah, we often want to just pick and choose what we're skeptical of. And in the other room, Soggy is saying to Tom Rowland, you honestly think he's not getting private treatment? I don't know. From what we're told, again, fake news, conspiracy theories and whatnot, he's in St Thomas's Hospital, just next to the Thames in central London, and he's receiving care from the National Health Service. And as Tom pointed out, they've saved his life. The National Health Service, the state-funded medical care that we are all entitled to, has saved the life of our Prime Minister. And as I keep saying, politics aside, that's got to be a good thing. But what else have you recovered from? Go on, even if it's something frivolous. We've had a broken heart already. What else have people recovered from? Maybe you got over an addiction to a TV series or something. Someone mentioned Friends earlier on. Maybe they've tried to watch all the episodes in one go, or something like that. I once attempted a Rocky marathon, when I was absolutely addicted to the Rocky movies, and I tried to watch from 1 to 5 all in one go, and I got to about halfway through Rocky 3 and just got knocked out, just like Rocky at the start of Rocky 3. Well, look, guys, it's been another positive slant. I'm going to try and keep that that positivity. It's not all doom and gloom. Boris is recovering. The country will recover, and we will be back. Thank you for all the support and people tuning in, people calling in. I want to do the voice note more often if we can. Hassan Redwan saying, I like to say I've recovered from religion, but to be honest, it's a work in progress. Look, we're all on that same journey, Hassan Radwan, aren't we? I don't think it ever will end. If God is infinite, then the journey towards him would be infinite, wouldn't it? And Triple T 33X is saying, I've recovered from Only Fools and Horses ending so soon. Yeah, it's only been finished 20 years. Thank you, Brian Cannot Tell. Peace and blessings to you as always. And we'll try and go regular from 10 p.m. Not sure which nights, as many nights as I can. But check us out at 10 p.m. Lessons for Life. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll do it all again soon. We were here and we're gone. Latest.